Today we'll be working in my workbook called Journey to Mount Sinai, which covers Exodus 13 through 19. Looking at the table of contents, we have already completed the first 8 chapters. We started off with when they're still in Succoth in Egypt. And this is where their Hebrew calendar starts and where they start the festival of unleavened bread, or the Passover festival. It's the first time they establish that as something they should do throughout generations. Then they start traveling, and instead of right across the land to Canaan, God is going to travel them south first. They have a lot to learn. They have been under Egyptian rule and beliefs and customs for over 300 years, 400 years. And they need now to learn how to trust God again, how to believe only in God in these things. So that's why there's this long travel before they get to the land of Canaan. So the first thing God is going to do, the first item, is he's also going to hit the Egyptian army, which he hadn't touched with the 10 plagues, really. So he has the Israelites, instead of going down the east side of the Red Sea, which was up there, he goes down the west side, which then traps them between the mountain passes and the Red Sea in a large beach type area. 2.4 million Israelites with livestock and everything are caught between the mountainous passes and the Red Sea. And God did that on purpose. Now they're traveling with a pillar of fire and by night and a pillar of cloud by day. So that is what leads them. So when it moves, they move, and when it stops, they stop. So now they're caught, and the Israelites, hearing about this, the Pharaoh goes, "Oh, great, we can capture them." And we discover later that with the intent to kill them, but capture them. And so they go after the Israelites with 600 chariots, at least 1,200 men, 2 men per chariot, and of course Pharaoh. And they go after them, and they go through the mountain passes because they found out where they were. They figure they have them trapped. And by human condition, the Egyptians have the upper hand. However, God is on the side of the Israelites. So what happens then is, at night, as the Egyptians come close at night, the pillar of cloud moves behind the Israelites and camps between the Egyptian soldiers and the Israelite camp, and becomes a pillar of fire. So the Egyptians cannot pass there because it's fire. Meanwhile, Moses has parted the Red Sea, and the Israelites and their livestock and everybody crosses the Red Sea on dry ground. Not just mud ground, but dry ground. And so he crosses completely the Red Sea. And they finish just about sunrise. So dawn enough so they can see. Must have been a fast moving. I don't know how fast they could get all these people ready, but maybe they were ready to go as soon as they had the opportunity. And so they cross, and just as they finish crossing and it's daylight and the pillar of fire becomes a pillar of cloud, the Egyptians run forth after the Israelites, run into the parted Red Sea, and then the Red Sea collapses on top of them, and all the Egyptian army has been killed. And the Israelites are safely on the other side. And so then we get to chapter 5, which is the song of Moses and Miriam. And so they have this big praise song. This is the first psalm that we know of, and written, and it's called the Song of the Sea. And so it's a beautiful song. It's a praise song for what that has just happened. Then they continue their travels, and they get to the bitter waters of Marah is probably how you say it, Marah. And God is now giving them a second test. Instead of praying to God because they're thirsty, they haven't had enough water, for 3 days who've been with water, they complain to Moses. And Moses then complains to God. And then God says, here in this bitter waters of Marah, throw that tree down and it will become sweet waters. And they do, and it does. And so the people then have water to drink. They move a little farther into a limb where there's 70 palm trees and 20 lakes or whatever. And so they're able to rest and settle there, and people have shade and water to replenish them. Fresh water, of course. They're near the Red Sea. It could be salt water, but it's fresh water that they need, of course. So then, are they happy? No. Now they start complaining because they don't have enough food to eat. They have run out of the food. It's been, a little while since they've left Egypt, run out of food. So they complain to Moses. So God then provides the manna and the quail. The manna meaning substance that is put on the ground in the morning, and like wafer-like substance that tastes like honey, where they can ground up and make bread with it. And then quail at night, interestingly, still come through the area even today, that can be easily caught, but quail at night that they can have for meat. But they have to gather this, and they can only gather so much for everybody, like an omer a person. And they gather it, and that on the sixth day they can gather twice as much. If they gather more, it won't be way more than an omer. If they gather less, it won't way less than an omer. And if they do try to gather more, it will just rot and decay. It won't be able to be eaten. So God provides them food and water. However, they have to work for it. They can't just sit back and have it all handed to them. They have to work for it. And so they have bread, manna, and quail, meat, and they were able to drink before. Now again, they they keep going, and then they get to a point, Raphadim, I believe, where now they're out of water again. And instead of praying to God, this is the third test, they still complain to Moses. Moses talks to God. And so God then, actually, this is not Rephidim. This is near Mount Horeb, because it's at the base of Horeb, I believe. So Moses, through God's instruction, hits a rock with his staff, and water gushes out. Now, obviously, it's going to be gushing out for quite a while because it's 2.4 million people, but that's how God provides water for his people at that point. And there is even a rock in that area that they point to as the one that got split by Moses. I don't know if that's true, but it is interesting that there is a rock that looks split. Now we come to chapter 9, which is Israelites' battle with Amalek. So let's go there. Israelites' battle with Amalek. Exodus 17:18 through 6. Exodus 7:8. Now Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. So they are in Rephidim. I thought I was right. Deuteronomy 25:17 through 18 tells us more about this battle than we see in Exodus, which is listed below. The verse in Deuteronomy helps us to understand what the Amalekites did that was so wrong. What did they do? So let's read Deuteronomy 25:17 through 18. Remember what the Amalekites did to you along the way when you came out of Egypt, when you were weary and worn out, and how they met you on your journey and attacked all who were lagging behind. They had no fear of God. So, what did they do? They attacked the stragglers. They attacked, and when you were tired, they attacked the Israelites. The Amalekites came from Amalek. Who was Amalek grandson to? And we see that in Genesis 36:12. Esau's son Eliphaz also had a concubine named Timnah, who bore him Amalek. These were the grandsons of Esau's wife Ada. So Esau, Amalek is grandson to Esau. Let's see. Right. And so Esau's son Eliphaz through Timnah had Amalek. So Amalek is the grandson to Esau. This is the brother to Jacob, the father of the 12 sons. Excuse me. 12 sons of Israel. Where did this battle take place? Rephidim. Does Satan try to do this to us as well when we are weary and worn out? Does he try to attack us and cause us trouble? Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. He causes doubt, fear. He tries everything he can to thwart our ability to work for God. The scriptures continue. Exodus 17:9. And Moses said to Joshua, choose us some men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I'll stand on top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses said to him and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. So, who is Joshua? This is the first time we're seeing Joshua. But if you know your Bible at all, of course, there is a book called Joshua. So he actually will have a lot of success behind him throughout the years. And I would say he would have to be one of the youngest people here in order to be able to survive all that he will have to go through before he dies. Who is Joshua? Joshua's true name was Heshua, but Moses gave him the name of Joshua. That was in Numbers 13:16. His father's name was Nun, and he is from the tribe of Ephraim. Numbers 13:8. He'll become a strong leader and eventually Moses' second in command, taking charge when Moses dies. He is one of the two spies that will bring a good report of the promised land and is allowed to enter it 40 years later. The book of Joshua is named after him. So he's a mighty warrior, and this has got to be when he's 15, 17, somewhere in that neighborhood. Who is Hur? We have Hur here too. Okay, less is known for sure about Hur. Some say he was either married to or the son of Miriam, Moses' sister. All we know for sure is that he is one of the leaders that Moses depends on. He also appears to be the father of Bezalel, who is one of the chief artisans of the tabernacle. Again, so he may be a young man, in which case it would be more Miriam's son, it would seem, because if he is part of the artisans of the tabernacle, his son is, however, who is to be in charge of the men that will be fighting the Amalekites? Looks like Joshua. Joshua is going to be in charge of the men. Who will be joining Moses on top of the hill? Aaron and Hur. So in this case, we get the impression that Hur is the same age as Aaron, or similar age to Aaron in that generation. What did Moses have in his hand? His rod, or his staff, if you want to call it his staff. Who will be the leader after Moses dies? That would be Joshua. When is this battle to be fought? And I don't know. Tomorrow. Okay. It'll be the next day after they've talked about it. Exodus 17:11. And so it was when Moses held up his hands that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hands, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands became heavy, so they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. So in this case, I would say that Hur is more in the generation of Aaron and Miriam and Moses. So probably the husband of Miriam, if he is anybody, if he's related to the family at all. And that is because he's not out fighting, he's helping Moses. And they're all probably, and Aaron definitely is older than Moses. So there you go. What did Hur and Aaron do when Moses got too tired to stand? They put a rock under him so he could sit. What did Hur and Aaron do when Moses' arms got too tired to hold up? They held up his hands. When Moses' arms were raised, who was winning the battle? The Israelites. When Moses' arms lowered, who was winning the battle? The Amalekites. What time of day did the battle end? Probably at the end of day, until the going down of the sun. Basically, Moses was praying to God to help his people win the battle. When he stopped or slowed his prayers, Hur, Aaron, and Moses could tell that it affected the battle. When Moses prayed fervently, raised his rod up high, it seemed to give power to the Israelites in the battlefield. How can you use this situation to explain the power of prayer? We see this too. When people come together and pray over an event, we see that the good side wins. And definitely the power of prayer. We need to know it more often and use it more often. Moses could not do it alone. Explain how this is similar to corporate prayer, the prayer of several people praying together. Moses could not pray. Sometimes having corporate prayer, having people join together in a prayer effect strengthens the prayer because one would get tired, one would stop, but the rest are going to steady them and help them through it, Lord. So the scriptures continue, chapter 17, verse 14, I guess. The Lord said to Moses, write this for a memorial in a book and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under the sky. So here it already appears that God has already picked Joshua as the future leader. And we already have at this point Moses, who is starting to document the first 5 books of the Bible, known as the Torah in the Jewish language. In fact, after the Israelites entered the promised land, and the Lord told Saul through Samuel to exterminate all the Amalekites. 1 Samuel 15, 1 through 3. Samuel said to Saul, I'm the one the Lord sent to anoint your king over his people Israel. So listen now to the message from the Lord. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will punish the Amalekites for what they did to Israel when they waylaid them as they came up from Egypt. Now go attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all that belongs to them. So, God deals completely with the Amalekites later for their transgression right now. The scriptures continue. Exodus 17:15. And Moses built an altar and called its name, The Lord is my banner. For he said, because the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. In celebration for the victory over the Amalekites, what did Moses build? He built an altar, and he named it, The Lord is my banner. Why did he name it that? Because the Lord had sworn that he would fight the Amalekites from generation to generation. Moses was to write about the battle in a book, which becomes a Pentateuch, or the first 5 books of the Bible. But why was it to be rehearsed in the ears of Joshua, repeated in his hearing? Because the book hasn't been written yet, and because Joshua needed to know over and over again how strong the God is. And he's going to use that in the book of Joshua. You see it quite often. Joshua depends on the Lord and is all in for the Lord. Now, all the visions that he has, all the situation he has of seeing Moses do what he does, helps him to understand how strong God is as well. So that this is the end of the chapter. So let me make sure I have my answers just in case I get stumbled. Wouldn't want to have that. Okay, Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up on the mountain. Who was Esau brother to? Jacob. Number 7, the Lord told Moses, write this for a write this for a where are we? Write this for a memorial in a book. 7. Could be memorial. Let me just see if I can find it. Somewhere here, somewhere. See this is. I'm looking at the answers at the back of the book because I can't remember all these answers. Just a second here. Probably memorial. Would memorial's book, Memorial? I'm going to say memorial, and I will find it and see if that's true. Number 3, where was the Israelites when Amalek attacked them? Rephidim, I believe. And Rephidim. Who led the Israelite men into battle? Joshua. And after a successful battle, Moses built an altar. Okay. So let me just see if I can find that one crossword, and then I'll be able to confirm. At least I hope I can confirm. Somewhere. It is somewhere. Somewhere we're going to get it somewhere. Probably memorial. Sure, I'm sure it's memorial. Well, I can't find it. So I'm going to say memorial. probably works. Hmm. Oh, I have the thing here. Uh, that's not even okay. Never mind. That's probably Memorial. I gotta. Um, okay, and that one. Okay. So that's the end of the chapter. Sorry for that little blurb at the end there. I think this is where everybody told me I don't have the answer to this crossword in the back of the book. And so that caught me, obviously, but I'm pretty sure it's Memorial. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye now.